Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started now. Again, my name is Devin Hall, and I'm one of the assistant directors in our Office of Student Activities in Fraternity and Sorority Life. In my role, I primarily serve supporting our fraternity and sorority life programs, in addition to advising our Interfraternity Council, which is a governing board that oversees our 23 IFC organizations that we'll be discussing today. I want to let you know that throughout this presentation, if questions come up, there's that chat box over there to the, I believe on your right, but should be on your screen. Feel free to put any questions you may have in there. We've left time at the end of this presentation for you all, for us to ask those questions that you all have. So let's get started. So before we kick off and talk specifically about our Interfraternity Council, we kind of wanted to provide you all with that 1,000-foot level of our fraternity and sorority community here at Miami. We have a rich tradition and history of fraternity and sorority life here on campus. We're known as the mother of fraternities. 5 organizations, 4 being IFC organizations and 1 being a Panhellenic Association sorority, were founded here on Miami's campus. Today we represent around 1/3 of the student population, speaking around 5,100 students, represented by 43 chapters. Those organizations are represented or counseled by 3 different governing councils. The first one is our Interfraternity Council, which is comprised of 23 member fraternities that are recognized nationally and locally by our institution. These chapters are governed by 11 elected officers and advised by our Fraternity and Sorority Life Office. They recruit members to join their organization, and they participate in a formal recruitment process that takes place in the spring. Our National Panhellenic Council, which is our historically Black Greek-lettered organizations, are comprised of 3 fraternities and 3 sororities that are recognized both nationally and locally. The council is coordinated by of elected individuals that are also advised by our office. And they participate in an intake process, so students that are interested in joining one of our NPHC organizations are highly encouraged to reach out to each individual organization to get additional information about their intake processes or how to join their organization. Our other council is our Panhellenic Association, which is comprised of 18 all-women's organizations that are also recognized nationally and locally. They too are self-governed by an elected group of women, and those women are advised by our office, and they participate in a formal recruitment process that takes place in the spring. So we want to point out for you all today our recognized organizations. These are all of our chapters currently within our Interfraternity Council that are both recognized by their national organization and recognized by the university. What this means is they get support from our office, and that means the staff members meeting with them is in communication with their advisor and is in communication with their national or international headquarters. We always encourage our parents and families as partners on behalf of our office to encourage and make sure that your students are interested in joining fraternities or looking at one of these 23 organizations. If they're not looking at one of those 23 organizations, they perhaps are looking at one of our unrecognized organizations. An unrecognized fraternity or sorority is more often than not an organization that used to exist on campus but was removed from campus for violating the Student Code of Conduct or for violating their international or national headquarters policies. All of our unrecognized organizations, you can find out more information about when they were removed from campus and how they were removed from campus by visiting our website. If you go to the About tab and then click on the Unrecognized Groups, very similar to the right-hand side of your screen, you'll see a full list of our unrecognized groups. You just click that little checkbox to the left of the organization name, and that should give you some more information about when they were removed from campus and when they're eligible to return to our campus. I want to point out specifically Phi Delta Theta fraternity, who was removed from campus last spring. They've been in communication with our office and the university and the Interfraternity Council, and there's a possibility for them to return to campus in the late spring. But as of right now, and as we enter this formal recruitment process in late January, early February, Phi Delta Theta will be identified as an unrecognized organization. So next up, we wanted to equip you all with what are the requirements or expectations and policies to joining one of our organizations. As it relates to academic standing, we have a deferred recruitment model, meaning that we encourage or we expect that all of our students will have participated in one full semester of a college. That could be at Miami University or for any of our transfer students from an accredited university, and they have those 12 university credit hours. That's really, really important. There's no exceptions to that rule. 11 credit hours, unfortunately, will not get you in to be able to participate in our recruitment process. Very similar to our grades, it is a hard cutoff. That 2.5 cumulative GPA is required to join one of our organizations. A 2.49 will make you ineligible to join one of our organizations. For the Greek course, there's a two-part online orientation course. Once your student registers for the IFC's formal recruitment process, they should receive an email giving them access to part 1 of the online orientation course. Once they've completed that step 1 or online module 1, they will then be given access to our online module 2. They will need to complete both of those courses before accepting a bid of membership into one of our IFC organizations. Again, your student will get lots of communication about that as they register for the recruitment process. So going into that registration, I'd like to point out that on Campus Director, the registration for recruitment deadline is January 3rd at 5 p.m. So make sure that if your student is interested in joining one of our IFC organizations, they make sure to register by January 3rd. To get links or find access to our Campus Director website, you can visit our website and click the link from there on how to join underneath our Interfraternity Council. So now we want to dive into a little bit about the schedule of the week, but also what are maybe some language or terminologies that you as parents or family members may hear or your students may hear throughout the process. So recruitment runs from Sunday, January 27th through Sunday of February 3rd. So that first Sunday is kind of a kickoff where our students will have the opportunity to hear from all 23 of our recognized organizations. And then Monday through Saturday are these open houses. So what this looks like is your student will have the opportunity to visit the chapter facilities of our IFC organizations and get to know them in a little bit more. Hopefully your student has learned a little bit more about our fraternity community throughout their fall semester if they were here at Miami, or if they visit our website or in our Fraternity Council's website to get more information about our chapters. But if they have not done so already, it'll be really great for them to visit those open houses, especially on Monday, January 28th and Tuesday, January 29th, because it's expected for all of our organizations to be open those 2 nights. Going off of some of those terminologies you may hear, PNM, also known as our potential new members, these are individuals that are eligible to join one of our organizations. We use this term oftentimes for the students who register and participate in the recruitment process, because these are potential new members that are eligible to join one of our recognized organizations. A bid is an official invitation to join a chapter. So what it looks like throughout that week, starting on Monday night, and we'll get into this later in the presentation, but your student can receive a bid of membership. What that means is they can either accept, sit, or decline on that bid, but they have until Sunday, February 3rd to make their decision. So all potential new members will have to accept their bid of membership into an organization by Sunday, February 3rd. So going back to that accept, sit, decline, right? Accept means that they're willing to become a member, a new member of that organization. Sit means they don't accept or decline, but they want maybe some more information about, you know, the different chapters, or perhaps they've been interested in multiple organizations and they're waiting to see if they receive bids from other organizations. On here it says that you may sit or make your bid decision by Monday, January 3rd. 30th, that deadline was moved to Sunday, February 3rd. So decline, your student also has the ability to decline a bid. Let's say their values don't align with one of the organizations they receive a bid from. They are more than welcome to decline that bid to join that organization. The term drop is more times used when an individual removes themselves from the new member process or the pledging process. So they've already maybe accepted that bid into the membership. They've identified that their values don't align or there's incongruence with that organization, so they drop that chapter. Individuals who remove themselves from the recruitment process or the new member process, as long as they're not initiated into the organization, they have the opportunity to join one of our other IFC organizations as early as next fall 2019. So now getting a little bit deeper into what our formal recruitment schedule looks like. We kick it off that Sunday, January 27th. Check-in will start around 3 p.m. and the actual kickoff presentation from our Interfraternity Council will start at 4 p.m. There will be 2 sessions. One session will take place in Armstrong Pavilion, located on the 3rd floor, and then another session will be located in Wilkes Theater, located on the lower level of the building. It's alphabetized. We'll have signs throughout the Armstrong Student Center, and we'll have volunteers directing students to the right check-in location and right kickoff presentation. After our Interfraternity Council gives that kickoff presentation, your student will have the opportunity to hear from all 23 of our recognized fraternities. Each organization has been instructed to give a kind of 5-minute presentation about their organization. Some groups might talk about brotherhood, some may talk about some leadership opportunities within their organization, some might talk about how they highly value academics and how that shows up in their fraternity experience. So it's a great opportunity for your students to take some notes about what fraternities exist within our Interfraternity Council. On Monday starts our open houses. Open houses will take place at the chapter facilities within our community. Fraternity house map is sent out to all of our potential new members. That way they know which fraternities are at which house locations. That way they can go visit those specific chapters during those open houses. Starting on Monday night is the earliest any of our fraternities are allowed to extend any bids to any potential new members. So starting at 10 p.m., so open houses close at 9, chapters will typically debrief between 9 and 10 p.m., and then starting at 9 p.m., a chapter may extend a bid to a potential new member. Once again, those students do not have to accept those bids on that Monday night. They have the opportunity to sit on them if they want to continue to visit other open houses throughout the week. So Tuesday through Friday, open houses will continue each evening, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Again, Tuesday night is the last night that all chapters have to be open. So starting Wednesday, the 30th, I would imagine we'll start to see some of our fraternities who have filled their new member classes will start to close. Each of our organizations has different expectations when it comes to identifying the number of bids they would like to give out or the new members they have in their new member class. Oftentimes, fraternities base it on the number of beds they have within their fraternity facility for the sophomores to live in their second year, which we'll talk a little bit about later in the presentation. But more often than not, we see anywhere from 25 to 35 for each of our organizations. Some of our chapters do have a little bit less new member class than that 25. So they'll be giving bids out throughout the week. The last day for any of our chapters to be open is Saturday, and that open house takes place in the afternoon between 11 a.m. and 2 p.m. If any of our organizations are open, I believe of our 23 groups, probably around 3 of our fraternities will still be open that Saturday, which means they're still accepting new members into their organization. They'll have events from that 11 to 2 p.m. So they might be doing a cookout at the chapter house. They might be going to the bowling alley and providing transportation and things like that. So as your student navigates the process and they share with you, there's no more fraternities to join, like I don't know what to do now, encourage them to check back on that campus director where they'll be receiving notifications. But we typically have fraternities that are still open throughout the entire recruitment process, but they're still eligible to join. With the last open house that Saturday, we'd encourage all of our chapters to give out all of their bids by Saturday at 5 p.m. What that means is your student will have the ability to accept their bid in our campus director software on Sunday by 5 p.m. The reason for doing this is we have moved up our new member timelines this year, and all of our new member programs for IFC fraternities, most of them, being 99% of them, will be starting on Sunday, February 3rd. That's why we've moved up that bid acceptance date from previous years. Great. So now that your students joined our community, we'll give you a little bit of information about what that means. A very hands-on educational and supportive process for your students, and make sure they're supported through a healthy new member process as it relates to the organization that they join. The first thing we'd like to share with you all is education. Our enhanced membership experience. These are different plans that our Interfraternity Council has each of their 23 member organizations complete that they publish on their websites. The EME is comprised of 3 different parts. The first one is an outline of what takes place during the new member process and what are their policies around hazing. They're a non-hazing organization. We have them share that information with their potential new members and with their parents and families. The second part is a calendar of events. So what events will be taking place during the new member process. So they outline that in their EME plans. And then the third component is a letter to parents and families. So all of our chapters, once they've identified their new members after that formal recruitment process, they will send a letter to all parents and families or guardians of the students that are joining the organization, kind of as an introduction, letting them know about the EME and providing contact information for both the chapter president, the advisor, and some of our Interfraternity Council officer leaders. Another educational piece students receive after joining an organization is Greeks Step Up. This is a bystander intervention program that really engages our students in conversations and dialogues around those healthy behaviors. If your student chooses to drink, how much are they drinking? What's in a standard drink? Are our students aware? Conversations, dialogue around mental health, right? What are some warning signs as it relates to you and your ability when it comes to time management? Are you having a hard time navigating your collegiate experience? How do you get access to resources and tools to be successful? Sexual and interpersonal violence. Walking through with our students, what is the definition, or Miami University's definition of consent, right? Walking that through with our students and making sure they feel empowered in those environments and spaces should they find themselves in a tricky or uncomfortable situation. What's really, really great is the peer-to-peer led program. So it's no one from the university going in and speaking with our students about bystander intervention. It's actually peer students, so fraternity and sorority leaders will facilitate these conversations with all of our new members who join our IFC community in the spring. Our policies. So looking at the Student Code of Conduct, this is what all students are held accountable to as it relates to Miami University and our office. And included within that Student Code of Conduct is our hazing policies. We have a zero tolerance when it comes to hazing, both as an institution and on behalf of all of our organizations. We communicate all of these policies and expectations to all of our member organizations and all of the potential new members and new members that join our community. A lot of the Student Code of Conduct and hazing policies will also be provided to the students who participate in the online orientation modules to our fraternity and sorority community. Once again, setting up the expectation that this is what it means to be a member of one of our organizations, and here's the expectation that we'll be holding you all accountable to. As it relates to support that our organizations receive, all of our IFC organizations, those recognized organizations, receive individual chapter support on behalf of our office. So all of our staff members, we have a liaison structure. We report to anywhere from 8 to 13 chapters, report to 1 staff member. Myself, I work with 12 organizations that I meet with on a bi-weekly basis. I check in with my organization president, ask them how their new member process is going, what questions do they have, and supporting them throughout those different processes and getting them connected to campus resources or their headquarters resources if they're needed. They have headquarters on-site support. So what this looks like is during our recruitment and as we transition into our new member process, Miami University has a great partnership with our international and national headquarters. We'd ask them to have staff on site to help our students navigate these processes, right? Make sure that they're doing their appropriate induction and bid processing ceremonies that have been outlined by their organizations. As they're doing ritual and things like that, making sure that they're following the expectations and guidelines that their headquarters have set forth over the years. So once again, that applies to our recognized groups, which is why we always encourage our parents and families to be on the lookout and ensure their students are interested in joining one of our recognized organizations because they receive all this additional support and guidance. We also want to take a moment to share with you all that we're going through some changes right now. We've been navigating some challenges within our fraternity and sorority community, and some of those challenges specifically within our Interfraternity Council community. As an institution, we are partnering with our students, with our headquarters, and with administrators to better equip our students to be successful throughout the fraternity process. I'd like to talk a little bit more about those enhanced membership experiences I've been mentioning previously. Starting this spring, all of our IFC organizations will take place in a 4-week new member program. This is something that's new to our community. All of our organizations in those EMEs have outlined their educational processes to be only 4 weeks. Therefore, all 23 of our recognized organizations will be initiating your students no later than March 3rd. We're excited for this opportunity, and our students are also excited about this opportunity. And all of those EME plans are going to be published on our Interfraternity Council's website. So I've provided the link down there for you all. Currently, right now, what is published is last year's EME plans. Last week, each chapter had to give a presentation to their chapter advisor, to a Fraternity and Sorority Life staff member, and to an IFC council officer about their 4-week new member plan, and that plan had to be approved. They're in the finalized processes of approving those EME plans this week. That way they can be published online at the latest early January. So looking at that recruitment deadline registration, once we email out to all those individuals about the recruitment process, we provide links to the updated EME information on our IFC's website. All of our organizations are receiving increased advisor support. On behalf of the institution, we are requiring that our advisors be present at bid distribution, at an induction ceremony, and initiation. Right? So when a chapter is giving out a bid to a new member, we're asking that an advisor be there. The induction ceremony is typically when a ceremony where a potential new member becomes a new member into an organization. If they're doing those ceremonies, and an advisor needs to be present for those experiences. And looking at those initiation dates towards the end of the 4-week process, once again, advisors need to be present at those initiation experiences. And we're also asking our advisors to be present at new member meetings, right? Once again, helping hold our organizations accountable to their mission and to their vision. We're asking for our advisors and our headquarters partners to step in and assist our office with the membership development educational pieces that our new members are receiving throughout their EME processes. Some other changes that are coming to our community that your student might experience this spring is around our second-year exemption. So all of our recognized organizations are eligible to receive a second-year exemption, which means that for sophomores, since Miami University has a 2-year live-on requirement, sophomores will have the opportunity to live off campus in one of our IFC fraternity houses their sophomore year. This is a university exemption process where the organizations apply to the university and say that we are in good standing with IFC, we're in good standing with the university and our headquarters, maybe we receive the exemption. Each individual new member who joins one of our IFC fraternities in the spring will have to apply for the exemption through our office. An increased GPA has been made for that second-year exemption process, so students at the conclusion of their spring semester must have a 2.75 cumulative GPA in order to receive the exemption. Once again, there's no stipulations to that. There's no 2.74. It's been a 2.5 in the past. Unfortunately, that 2.5 will not make you eligible to live in the house your sophomore year. You have to have that 2.75 GPA. In addition to academic requirements, you have to have 0 conduct violations with our Office of Community Standards. So what this means is your student did not go through the university conduct process and were found responsible for violating the student code of conduct. If a student was found violating anything in the student code of conduct, that individual would not be eligible to receive a second-year exemption. All that means is your student would have to live on campus their sophomore year. Does not mean that your individual student is penalized or the organization is penalized. It's just to receive that exemption process. So expectations of membership, right? So you think about our students after they've joined these organizations, what does that look like? The fraternity experience is meant to complement the academic experience. You will see that the all fraternity male GPA is above the all men's GPA. A lot of our organizations put an effort and emphasis in the academic experience. You'll see study tables and academic scholarship points in those enhanced membership or EME plans. Once again, showing to you all that the fraternity experience is meant to complement the academic experience. Involvement. A lot of our students who are involved in our fraternity community are also involved in other clubs and organizations across campus. They're involved in the Associated for Student Government. They're involved with business fraternities. There's no conflict with those pieces. We always encourage our members to be involved in multiple different things. That way they can diversify their resumes. When they're thinking about those career placements, when they're already looking to their junior and senior year for internships and jobs, they have a robust resume. They'd have the lived experiences to be able to communicate and articulate their leadership capacities, their emotional intelligence, and how that shows up, because oftentimes those are the skills that employers are looking for. So citizenship, right, identifying that you exist within communities, the Miami University community, our fraternity and sorority community, the greater Butler County and Oxford community. So not only do we give back to citizenship via philanthropy and service, but giving back our strengths to the Miami experience, giving back to the code of love and honor. How are our students really engaging in those conversations of citizenship? And that's a part of the membership experience here on campus. On the screen for you all is some contact information for our undergraduate Interfraternity Council recruitment chairs. Mitch Rehawk has been in communication perhaps with your students that have already registered for recruitment. He is the current IFC Vice President of Recruitment. And then Sam is our incoming IFC Vice President of Recruitment, who will be shadowing Mitch this upcoming January and February, and then he will lead the formal recruitment process in spring 2020. If for any reason you need to get in touch with either one of those students, there is the Interfraternity Council recruitment email there on the screen. You're more than welcome to send them an email or have your students send them an email for any questions that you all may have. On here is my contact information and then our associate directors. Again, I'm an assistant director here in the office and I serve as IFC's primary advisor. Colleen Blevins is our associate director. She works really closely with our Panhellenic Association and our NPHC community. She's another really great resource when it comes to supporting our potential new members within our IFC community. So if for any reason you're unable to get a hold of me, Colleen is another really great resource for you all on behalf of the university. Thank you all. We are going to go ahead and dive into some questions. So if there's anything that I missed throughout this presentation, I know a few of you have already submitted some questions that I'm going to answer right now. But if there's anything you felt like was left unanswered, please put that in the chat box now. That way we can make sure it gets answered before the conclusion of our presentation today. So a question that we received is, how are bids given out? Are they verbal? Are there pieces of paper? What does that look like? It varies from organization to organization. What we see oftentimes is they will text an individual student, say, hey, can you meet me on Central Campus? They'll meet the student there, and then they will, if they have an organized process, they'll take them back to the chapter house where their advisor is and things like that, and then they will come together to extend them a bid. Some of our organizations have a kind of ritualistic piece to their bid extension process where they might ask them to, commit to not commit to accepting the bid. It truly varies from organization to organization. What I always share with our parents and families, you guys are our partners. If your students have questions about things or something, unfamiliar is happening, or they've got some questions about some things, have them reach out to our office. Right? We can help fill in any gaps that they may have. But a lot of them will also receive paper invites. Sometimes a lot of our national headquarters will provide them for the chapters, and the chapters will just write the student's name on them. But most of our groups, I think, do a verbal commitment to joining our organizations, and a lot of them do them at their chapter facilities. And that's why, once again, this year, advisors will also be present for those experiences. So we have gotten the question, what about the average costs to joining one of our organizations? All of our costs can be found on our website. Again, our website is, if you go to miamioh.edu/FSLL, you can go under how to join, and then there's membership costs. You can see individual membership costs for joining each of our organizations. Dues for our new members, so if your student joins this upcoming spring, are typically a little bit more higher than our active member dues, ranging from anywhere from $300 to maybe $500. for that first semester, and then looking at after they join, dues being anywhere from that $250 to $400 per chapter. If your student lives in the chapter facility, there will be increased dues once again for that sophomore year or junior year if they live in their junior year, in addition to those membership dues. You can find all that information on our website. Throughout the winter term, all of our fraternities will be finalizing. So a few of our fraternities are actually moving to meal plans within their chapter facilities. So we've asked all of our IFC fraternities to finalize that information into the winter term. That way, starting formal recruitment, all potential new members will have an idea of the cost to join each of our organizations for spring 2019. Another question we received is, are letters of recommendation required? They're absolutely not required. When students join or register for formal recruitment on our campus director software, they have the opportunity to identify if they are a legacy. What a legacy means is that individual has a family member or a close friend that is affiliated with an organization. As they register for formal recruitment, I always encourage them to add that in there. If your son has already registered for recruitment and didn't enter that information, they can always go back into their campus director account and edit that information. So let's say hypothetically your son is in a legacy of Beta Theta Pi fraternity because their uncle was a member at the University of Michigan. They could put that into the recruitment software, and then our Beta Theta Pi chapter here on campus will be able to see that your son is a legacy of their organization. If you would like to send a letter of recommendation on behalf of an organization to a chapter, I would encourage you to send that directly to the chapter's president here on campus. You can find their email located on our website, or you are welcome to address the letter to the organization and mail it to our office. Our office address is located on our website as well, and we will get that letter of recommendation to the respective organization. Awesome. Those are the questions that came in throughout the presentation. If there's any more questions that you have, please make sure that you put them in now. It looks like we might be getting 1 to 2 more, so give us 1 second. So we received the question about, once you accept a bid, when is the formal reception or perhaps an induction ceremony? For a lot of our organizations, that'll be on that February 3rd date, that Sunday. What's really, really great about those EME plans is we've asked all of our organizations to put their first new member meeting or induction ceremony on those plans. So starting early January, you all be able to go on for all 23 of our recognized organizations, go on and see after they've accepted their bid when their first new member meeting will be, and we've even asked them to provide a little bit of information about what to expect during each of those new member meetings in their actual plans. Really great questions. Anything else for you all? Oh, and we wanted just to remind you all that today's presentation was also recorded for you all to have access to later. You will be able to find it both on our website and through our parent family website. Should you guys have any additional questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to myself or anyone from our office. Sorry, a few more questions came in really quickly. For students who do not meet the 12 credit hour or 2.5 GPA requirement, is there a fall recruitment process? Historically, there hasn't been, but actually as it relates to some of those fraternity and sorority life community changes that will be coming out, our Interfraternity Council will be providing a slightly structured process for upper class students this fall. So for any of our sophomores, juniors, or seniors who are interested in joining our fraternity, we'll perhaps host a little meet and greet with all of our organizations and with IFC to help them get connected to organizations that are looking to take a new member class in the fall. In the past, not all 23 of our organizations have participated in a fall recruitment. I would suspect this upcoming fall, so fall 2019, I don't know if all 23 organizations will participate, but I guarantee you will see highly increased numbers. I would say half, if not more, will participate in a fall recruitment. Another question we received was about attire during the recruitment process. I always joke with our students and with our parents and families. Our men love to dress comfortably. They love their sweatpants. They love their flannel t-shirts, and they love their boots. There's no expectation to dress a certain way. I would say a lot of our students dress casual. I highly recommend jeans and something warm, acknowledging that those open houses, it's outdoors, right? They'll be walking from house to house, and depending on what the weather looks like in the last week of January, early February, it can always be a hit or miss, but they'll dress warm, bring a jacket, some jeans, something comfortable. There's no expectation to dress nice. The only reason they would have to dress nice is for that induction ceremony or anything like that, that after accepting a bid, perhaps into membership, and the individual chapter will communicate that attire to each of those new members once they've joined the organization. Another great question that we received is, do students prefer to join their sophomore year versus their first year? I think we honestly get a great mix. A lot of our students, right, they're busy right now. Maybe they perhaps didn't even join a club or organization because they're trying to focus on their academics or focus on getting into the Farmer School of Business. Right, those are really, really important for students to identify those priorities and then to think about the best time for them to join. When I look at our formal recruitment numbers, typically around 15 to 20% of the students who register for formal recruitment or join in the spring semester are sophomores. So we do see a pool of students. As I had shared with you around the second year exemption changes that we're seeing within our community, I think we will see an increase in our fraternities looking for upper class students to join their organizations, and also encouraging those men to live in their chapter facilities with the new members when they join. If your student for some reason didn't receive an email about the online course, they can actually also access it on our website, right? I feel like the database for everything. Underneath the membership, I believe it's membership requirements, there's something for new members. There's going to be a tab for the new member online orientation course. We will send out copious amounts of emails over these next couple of weeks and into the winter term, especially after they've registered for recruitment. So trust me, if they have not received the email yet, I am beyond confident they will receive it relatively soon. Typically, we get around 100% completion for all of our students who do register for recruitment. We ask that all of our students participate in, and we get that 100% completion rate. So we got the question that if perhaps they don't go through this spring, or they don't join one of our fraternities in the fall as an early sophomore, can they go through in spring 2020? Absolutely. Same exact process, the formal process. In spring 2020, some of our eligibility requirements might be changing. So this spring, our eligibility requirements are that 12 university credit hours and a 2.5 GPA. In spring 2020, that GPA requirement to join one of our IFC organizations will be a 2.75. So there will be increased GPA requirements to join one of our IFC organizations in spring 2020. For that fall 2019 recruitment, yeah, it's an informal recruitment process. Once again, it's nothing like what your students will receive this spring. What it'll look like is we're working on reserving a room, most likely upstairs in the Armstrong Student Center in the pavilion, and almost doing like an organization fair, specifically for sophomores, juniors, and seniors, or upper class students. In the fall semester, we host Mega Fair, which is our big student organization showcase, which is predominantly targeted to our first year students, where they'll have an opportunity to meet all of our chapters, but we're looking to provide an additional experience specifically for those sophomore students in fall 2019. Awesome. Really great questions, everyone. As I had said, we are a continued resource. Thank you all for joining me today. You guys are partners in this process with us. If questions come up, feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to visit our website. We've got a lot of really great resources on there for you all. And thank you, and we look forward to another successful year.